Hello and welcome to the day 6 of my Iceland saga. And today I wanted to talk about whales. Most of you probably know that the Vikings were amazing sailors. I mean, they went all the way to Spain, Iceland, even to the North America. They had to withstand one of the worst weathers in the middle of the ocean. And the key part for this all was that they had a very sturdy and very buoyant design in their ships. And this is where the whales come into play. You see, when you have the biggest animal ever existed in the world, being shaped by thousands of years of evolution, what you get in the end is one of the most buoyant shape ever imaginable. I'm talking about the whale's ribcage. If you compare them to the Vikings' longboats, you can see a lot of similarities. And the Vikings were living next to a place where there were a lot of whales. They were even hunting them. So the Vikings were very well aware of how the whale's ribcage looked like. So it's not a surprise to hear that there is a theory that the Vikings were inspired by the whale's ribcage to create their own longships. So this is how the nature could have potentially shaped the human history. If there were no whales next to the Norsemen wouldn't have the longship. If the Norsemen wouldn't have the longships, they wouldn't have crossed all of these oceans. They wouldn't colonize so many nations, and they wouldn't change the history the way that they changed now. And of course, one of these nations is Iceland. So in a very subtle way, Icelandics are actually owning their life to the whales. So if you're interested to see these majestic creatures from the shores of Iceland, stay with me.
So guys, I'm in the town of Húsavík. As you can see, this is sea town. Quite nice. Straight away getting the smell of that ocean with the fishes and everything. And as you would guess, I'm here because I'm about to go watching whales, dolphins and other sea creatures. I definitely can recommend that this is, from my research, the best city for whales watching. Another city you can find is Akureyri. However, they don't really go that much deeper into the ocean as they do from Húsavík. So yeah, the best one. You have a huge range of options of different companies that you want to choose. They're pretty much the same price, pretty much almost the same thing they're offering, around 3 to 4 hours of trip. They all having a communication between each other, which is very cool. So if one of the companies find that there are whales in certain spots, they'll notify the other companies, and the other companies will come, instead of just having a competition and just keeping that spot for themselves, which is pretty cool. I really like it. Well, stay tuned. Okay guys, so I just finished watching the whales. It's a very cool experience. You have to see these absolutely enormous creatures of the planet, and this thing by itself is amazing. However, I have a couple of advices. Basically, the process that is whale watching is you are getting into the ocean, you are looking at the surface of the water, and once you see some movement somewhere, you get to that area, because you know that in that area the whale will jump out of the water again and he will appear there. So you are getting to that point, and usually the whales stay there for something 40 seconds and then just diving again for another 7 to 10 minutes. When they are getting out of the water in this period of 40 seconds, it's very nice to have a speedy boat, like small speedy boats, to get as close as possible to the whales, rather than being on a slow, less maneuverable boat that we were in, unfortunately, because then you would just see them from very far away and you want to see them as close as possible. However, of course, you would get the experience of being on a very cool boat. You can get to the top part of it, but the amount of times we saw a whale somewhere far away and there was the small speedy boats of gentle giants next to it, I was like, oh, I wish I was that boat right now to just be so close to this massive beast. So I would definitely suggest you guys going for that option, unless you want to experience it on top of cool big boat, not a speedy small boat. Up to the next is a waterfall called Godafoss. The name, as you can suggest, is waterfall from God. It is apparently one of the most beautiful waterfalls in the world, and some people saying arguably it's the most beautiful one in Iceland. So let's see if it's living up to its reputation. One of the first things I noticed is that there is indeed an enormous interest for it. Alas, this waterfall didn't make a huge impression on me. I would still rate it 3 out of 5 stars, but totally disagree that this is even in the top 5 of the waterfalls in Iceland. Okay guys, so another hidden gem of Iceland. It's a little bit of mountain road driving, and unfortunately they're closing at 5 o'clock, but if you have enough time and you can come here, definitely visit Laufás House Museum Heritage. So without further ado, this is how, if you're coming from these mountains, they look like. Absolutely amazing. However guys, be ready for the next thing. You are definitely going to, your mind's going to blow away. So this is how they look like, literally like from the Lord of the Rings, where the hobbits were living. Like there some small grass houses. You go and that's how they look in front. Like so gorgeous guys, just look at this. Like, I mean, such an amazing view over here. However, you just saw how they look from the side, right? Yeah, you saw it. Don't tell me you didn't saw it, because now we are entering a Harry Potter world. We are entering, and what do we see? We are seeing that it continues, it continues, it continues, it continues, this little house, it continues. It continues. This is magic, guys. This is magic. Look how massive this place is. This is just mental. Wow.
And for the next 10 minutes, enchanted Val was rumbling between the walls of this bewitched place. Completely lost his head, he didn't stop mesmerizing the ornaments and bizarre structure of this what used to be homes for Icelandics in 19th century. But his curiosity would end very soon, as there was already a surprise waiting for him.
Okay, all fun and games, but like after you enter, after 5 o'clock, they literally can close you, like they just did with me. And then I'm gonna even ask if you're inside. I'm alive. So basically I'm just walking in here. I'm absolutely blown away by what I'm seeing. Straight away stormed into this house. I started taking photos, pictures, everything. I know it's actually free, you can do that. If you want to, you just have to pay for the tours for them to explain it to you. I'm going around, taking videos, taking pictures, enjoying it. And then, okay, time to go out. Trying to go out, door is closed. Going on the back door is closed. And luckily there were another couple tourists that were taking pictures. I'm running, seeing they are walking towards their car. Like I'm knocking on the window, they don't hear it. I'm running all the way to the window that's closest to them, knocking, and they finally hear it. I'm like, yes. Well, luckily they just went. There's a house literally next to it with a person from that museum that closed me. She opened the door for me. It was very apologetic, of course, and well, it was a bit of my mistake as well. I should have let her know that there's a person inside. And yeah, well, I'm not going to be sleeping in the turf houses tonight. Damn it. Most of the countries have one city which is the brain of the country and another city which is the heart of the country. Well, in Iceland, if Reykjavik is the brain of the country, then Akureyri is definitely the heart of it. Akureyri is placed in between two huge fjords, which helps the climate to stay warm even during the winter. That, of course, has an effect over the flora of this place, which is absolutely unlike the other parts of this country. You would be amazed that this city has its own botanical gardens, very rich in flowers, as you can see.
After Akureyri, you have the choice to continue going on the boring main route number 1 or go by the way more exciting route 82 and 76. Now, except for seeing the oldest church in Iceland as well as epic view of the ocean cliffs, I knew this route had lots of tunnels, including the longest tunnel in Iceland being 7 miles or 11.3 kilometers. But I was not ready to see this at all. Just for the record, this is two-way traffic tunnel. And the walls still have the shape of how they've been drilled. But if you think that this tunnel looks sketchy, just look at the entrance of this one. I don't even know what the hell is this, guys. Where am I going? What is this? Jesus Christ, that looks so dodgy as well. There's like some broken parts and like rocks and like stuck out of it. Wow. Alright, maximum here by the way was I think 35.
Okay guys, the Icelandic weather can be very unpredictable. When I was about to drive to the oldest church in Iceland, it was saying that it's going to be sunny, there's not going to be any wind, like barely any wind, everything is perfect. I'm arriving here and look at this. Just look at this, this is just disastrously, and the wind is it's very strong. So I thought to myself, what kind of experience is it gonna be in Iceland without having a proper Viking experience? So guys, I'm going to about go over there, I'm gonna take the pictures. I don't care, I'm coming here, I'm doing this church. Oh, it's so windy right now. That is because the moon left us. Where's the god? Check him out. There he is. Hiding. So, what I'm about to do is go to the oldest church in Iceland, and I'm gonna ask him like, why are you bringing weather like that? Come on, man. You tell me like in the morning in the weather forecast it's gonna be sunny and it's not gonna be any wind. Right now it's cold, massive wind, and it's raining. Yeah, I'm about to go and ask. So here I am. I made it to the church. I don't know if I'm gonna make it back. It's absolutely definitely interesting building. It is a grass house, turf house, in the middle of like sort of a field. weather getting a little bit better. Thank you very much.
And after all of this walking, I found out that the church was closed. And that was the end of my day 6. I was traveling to the Sherrar Cross where I would go to sleep.